The security lights flooded the compound as Chief Adebayo Olanarwaju stumbled backward, his heart pounding against his ribcage. There, in the middle of his pristine marble courtyard in Banana Island, stood a shirtless teenage boy with matted hair and torn shorts, spinning and moonwalking like his life depended on it. But that wasn't what made the billionaire freeze in shock. It was his daughter. 9-year-old Zainab, who hadn't smiled in 3 years, who hadn't spoken a word in 18 months, who screamed when strangers came near, was laughing. Actually laughing. Her small hands were clapping rhythmically as the strange boy performed an elaborate dance routine, his bare feet barely making a sound on the expensive Italian tiles. "Oga sir, I don't catch him," shouted Musa, the night security guard, running toward the boy with his baton raised. "Stop." Chief Adebayo's voice cracked the night air like thunder. Everyone froze. The boy's eyes went wide with terror. Zainab's laughter died instantly, replaced by a whimper that made her father's chest tighten. She began rocking back and forth, the way she always did when her routine was disrupted. "Please, sir," the boy whispered, his voice hoarse. "I no come steal. I just hear music from inside the house. The small madam, she been day cry for window. I just want make her happy small." Chief Adebayo looked from the terrified homeless boy to his daughter, who was now staring at the teenager with an intensity he'd never seen before. Slowly, impossibly, Zainab reached out her hand toward the stranger, something her therapists had said might never happen with anyone outside her immediate family. The boy remained motionless, confused, waiting for the security guard to drag him away or worse. Then Zainab did something that would change all their lives forever. She spoke. "Dance again." 2 words. 3 hours earlier, the boy who would change everything had been digging through a dumpster behind Mr. Big's restaurant on Admiralty Way. His name was Tunde, and he was 14 years old, though hunger had made him look much younger. He'd been living on Lagos streets for 8 months, ever since his uncle threw him out after his mother died. Another useless mouth to feed, Uncle Emeka had said, keeping the small shop his mother left behind. Tunde pulled out half a meat pie, brushing off the dirt. It wasn't much, but it was something. As he ate, he heard music drifting from somewhere nearby. His feet started moving before his brain caught up. Dancing was the only thing that made him forget the hunger, the loneliness, the fear. His mother used to say he was born dancing. She'd saved every naira she could to pay for lessons at a community center in Ajagunal, where they'd lived. "You have a gift, Tunde," she'd whisper during her final days in the free clinic. "Don't let this wicked world kill it." Now, following the music, Tunde found himself scaling the wall of a massive compound. He knew it was dangerous. He knew he could be shot by security or arrested by police. But the music was so beautiful, so alive, and he just needed to dance. Just for a moment. Just to feel human again. He dropped into the compound, and his breath caught. He'd never seen anywhere so magnificent. The house looked like something from a movie, all glass and white stone, with a fountain in the center of the courtyard. Through the massive windows, he could see the source of the music, a home theater system that probably cost more than his mother's entire shop. Then he heard the crying. A small girl stood at an upstairs window, tears streaming down her face, her hands pressed against the glass. Something about her loneliness called to his own. Before he knew what he was doing, Tunde began to dance. Chief Adebayo held up his hand, stopping Musa mid-stride, as the security guard moved toward Tunde. The boy stood frozen, his thin chest heaving, ready to run but somehow rooted to the spot by Zainab's unwavering gaze. "Dance again," Zainab repeated, louder this time, her voice gaining strength. The chief felt something crack open inside his chest. After the accident, after watching his wife's car flip on 3rd Mainland Bridge with Zainab trapped inside, after pulling his daughter from the wreckage while his wife took her last breath, he tried everything. The best doctors in Lagos, specialists from London, therapists from America. Millions of naira spent, and nothing worked. Zainab had retreated into a world of silence and routine where no one could reach her. Until tonight. Until this skeletal boy appeared like an answer to prayers he'd stopped praying. "What is your name?" Chief Adebayo asked, his voice softer now. Tunde, sir. Tunde Bakare. The boy's eyes darted toward the gate, calculating his chances of escape. Tunde, if I ask you to dance for my daughter again, would you do it? The boy blinked in confusion. This wasn't how these things usually went. Rich people didn't ask. They called the police. They had boys like him beaten and thrown in jail. Sir, I no understand. My daughter. Chief Adebayo's voice cracked slightly. She hasn't spoken in a year and a half. But somehow you reached her. So I'm asking, will you dance for her again? Tunde looked at the little girl, still standing by her father, still staring at him with those large, intelligent eyes. He saw something in her he recognized, a fellow prisoner of circumstance, trapped by things beyond her control. Yes, sir, Tunde whispered. I go dance. What happened next became the talk of Banana Island for weeks. The homeless boy danced for 3 hours straight while Zainab watched, gradually moving closer, until she was sitting just 5 feet away from him. She didn't speak again that night, but she smiled. She clapped. She even hummed along with some of the music. When Tunde finally collapsed from exhaustion, Chief Adebayo made a decision that would shock his friends, confuse his family, and change everything. Musa, prepare the guest house, he ordered. This boy is staying here tonight. But sir, the security guard protested. He is street boy. He fit thief. He gave my daughter something I couldn't buy with all my money. Chief Adebayo interrupted. He gave her hope. Now go. As Musa reluctantly left, the chief looked down at Tunde, who was staring at him like he'd grown a second head. Tomorrow, we'll talk properly, Chief Adebayo said. But tonight you eat. You bathe. You sleep in a real... 6 weeks later, Tunde sat in Chief Adebayo's study, wearing clean clothes that actually fit, his hair neatly cut, his stomach no longer hollow with hunger. But his hands were shaking. They're saying terrible things about me, sir, Tunde whispered, staring at the floor. Your brother, he been asking questions in Ajagunal. About my uncle. About why he really chased me comet. Chief Adebayo leaned forward. Then tell me the truth, Tunde. All of it. The story came out in broken pieces. Uncle Emeka hadn't just thrown Tunde out because of money. He'd wanted Tunde to join his gang, to sell drugs at the motor park, to do things that would dishonor his mother's memory. When Tunde refused, his uncle beat him and accused him of stealing from the shop, making sure everyone in the neighborhood believed the lie. So my brother thinks you're a thief, Chief Adebayo said quietly. He's threatening to report you to the police if I continue with the adoption. Adoption? Tunde's head snapped up, his eyes wide. The chief smiled, pulling out a folder of documents. Did you think I'd let you go? Tunde, these past 6 weeks, Zainab has spoken 127 words. She's eaten meals without crying. She's let the therapist touch her hand. Because of you. Because you showed her that joy still exists in this world. Tears spilled down Tunde's cheeks. But sir, your family, the people fit say. Let them say what they want. Chief Adebayo interrupted, his voice firm. I lost my wife. I almost lost my daughter to grief. Then you climbed over my wall and danced, and everything changed. My brother doesn't understand that some things matter more than reputation or what people think. A knock at the door interrupted them. The lawyer entered with the final adoption papers, and behind him, surprisingly, was Uncle Emeka himself, looking nervous and small in the grand house. I no come make trouble, Uncle Emeka said quickly, seeing Tunde's frightened expression. Chief Adebayo, he pay me visit yesterday. He show me say I wrong this boy. I tell him the truth about everything. I even sign paper for the lawyer, confessing say I lie about the stealing. Tunde couldn't breathe. His uncle was clearing his name. Uncle Emeka wouldn't meet Tunde's eyes. Your mama, my sister, she was good woman. I shame say I treat her son this way. I no fit undo when I don, but I fit make sure say you get better future. Chief Adebayo stood, placing a hand on Tunde's shoulder. The adoption is approved. You're officially my son now, Tunde Olamirwaju, and Zainab's brother. The word brother hung in the air like magic. Through his tears, Tunde saw Zainab peeking around the doorway, and for the first time, she walked into the room on her own, without her father's hand to guide her. She walked straight to Tunde and pressed something into his palm. It was a drawing. Two stick figures holding hands, one tall and one small. Above them, in shaky letters, she'd written, "My brother. My friend. Dance?" Zainab asked softly, and for the first time in months, there was hope in her voice. Real, genuine hope. Tunde stood, wiping his eyes, and began to move. Not the desperate, hungry dancing of a street boy trying to survive, but the joyful movement of someone who'd finally found home. And as he danced, Zainab laughed, that beautiful sound that had started everything, and Chief Adebayo understood that sometimes miracles don't look like you expect them to. Sometimes they look like a homeless boy scaling your wall. Sometimes they look like a daughter finding her voice. Sometimes they look like a family built not from blood alone, but from compassion, second chances, and the courage to choose love over fear. Now, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this story from?